Hi, Pastor Nathan Decker with your hashtag Better Together devotion for today. And this week I've been focusing on miracles and things that happen in the Gospel of Mark and how they're attached to the stories that are around them and actually color and change those stories. The Gospel, after all, was meant to be read completely, not as one verse or one little chapter or one little story. One of the most amazing stories that takes place in the Gospel of Mark is the story of the Transfiguration. The disciples go up on the mountain. They see Jesus transformed and transfigured before their eyes. He becomes bright and light, and Moses and Elijah, the big heroes of their faith, are there. This is a great moment. Peter says, let's build tabernacles for you. Let's put some tents up. Let's just hang out here on top of the mountain. And then the most interesting thing happens. After they hear the voice of God and they're on this spiritual high, they come down into the valley, down from the mountain, and they encounter one of their failures. Ooh, they were not able to heal this child. This man comes and pleads with Jesus, please heal my child. And Jesus even gets frustrated. How long must I be with this sinful generation? How long will I put up with your unfaithfulness? How long until you see me who I am? And then Jesus says, I'll heal him. And they start going, and he again says, don't have doubt. And the man pleading with Jesus for his son says, Lord, help my unbelief. It's there in chapter 9, verse 23. Lord, help my doubt. We oftentimes are a people who have doubts. We have highs and lows in our spiritual journey. The Lord knows the disciples sure did in the Gospel of Mark. I mean, they just had seen Jesus transfigured. They just had heard the voice of God. They just had experienced all these things. And now they find out that they aren't able to do everything. Jesus comes down and says, I'm going to be here. I'm not just here during your high moments. I'm not just here in your transfigured moments, in the moments where you feel so close to God, in that heartburn hymn that you've been singing, in that beautiful praise that makes you push up to heaven. Jesus is not only in those moments. Jesus is also in your lows, in your valleys, in your failures, in your doubts. It's perfectly okay to have questions and doubts about God, about the Bible, about church, about what you're supposed to do with your life. We're called not to have the answers, not to live like Peter wanted to on that mountaintop. We're called to go with Jesus through the mountains and through the valleys, through our successes, and yes, in the midst of our pain and our failures, Christ is with us. Today, take some time. Whether you're on a mountaintop moment or whether you feel like you're running downhill towards that valley, take a moment and pray and give thanks to God for his presence in both. And always, Jesus says, I will always be with you. And we will be all better together. Amen.